let's get into how to send an email or text to your customer. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to Zapier, and it's zapier.com. That's where you're going to go. And then you're going to go to your Zaps here, and you're going to hit create a new Zap. I've already created an outbound trigger, so I'm just going to go into it because it's easier for me to just go over this with you, but that's how you'll create it. So let me show you how we set it up. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to New Email and Email Parser by Zapier. Zapier has their own parser email. What that means is you can actually send email to Zapier's email box, and it's your own personal email box. So once you set this up, you're going to go to Event, and you're going to select the new email, and you're going to hit Continue. Now, we're going to hit Continue here. We're going to do Email Parser by Zapier. And you're going to need to set up a parser. So it's going to ask you for a mailbox. This is my mailbox, but you need to set up your own. And the way you set up your own is by going to https://parser.zapier.com. So let's go to it. It's just basically a continuation of Zapier. We're going to log in with Zapier account. You're going to authorize it, and then you're going to create a new mailbox. So you'll hit create mailbox. Once you have created that mailbox, you'll have your email address, and you're going to copy it, and that's what's going to go here. Okay, so we're sending the data to that email that you just set up. So we'll hit continue, and it's going to send a test one. But for right now, what we're doing is we're just setting up the trigger. So we're going to continue here. I'm going to continue all the way down. Now, if you want to send a file to your customer, like a PDF, then you could do it through this, which is find a file through Google Drive. A lot of times I'll send like a brochure. So like if a customer engages on my online forum or they call me, I just automatically send a brochure to them. And the way you do that is you just do find file as the event, hit continue, and then you're going to pull from your Google Drive, and you'll name the file in your Google Drive, and that's what you'll pull from. This is more advanced stuff, so I don't really want to get into it, but I just want to show you this is a way that you can send a nice brochure or a sales packet if you want. But if you don't, you would just do the only if and statement. So you're only going to send it if there's an output email. And this is how you would set that up. You would just do output email. If the text contains an @ sign, then that's how you would set up your outbound email. Because you don't want to be sending an outbound email. Let me go back to that. You don't want to be sending an outbound email if you don't have an email address to send to. So you're gonna do parse output email, and you're gonna do if the text contains, and you're gonna do an @ sign here. Okay, so you're only gonna send an outbound email to your customers if you have an actual email address. And then for the event, you're going to do send outbound mail in email by Zapier. That's the next action trigger. So let's go through it again. We've got new email parser Zapier. We've got only continue if, and then we've got send outbound email by Zapier. And we're going to want to send an outbound email, and then you can just select the columns here, they give them to you all here. So of course 2, you're going to want the parser email. The subject line that you want, you would just type that, and then what you wanted to say, the body email, which I'm going to show you how to set that up. And then this is my attachment. And then if they decide to message you, they can reply back to your email here. And if you want to CC it, you can CC it. So this is a way that individuals can engage with you. And then of course you want to test it. So once you have this set up, you want to, let's go back to my parser. So this, you want to copy this. Okay, so usually what I'll do is I'll do a notepad. So I'll do a notepad here. And I'll copy this into my notepad. It's 13x83 ph8 at Zapier.com. And then I'll go out of this, I'll save it. It's all set up, but we're going to come back into it. So you would save it, or you could even publish it. That's fine. So we'll go out of that, and then we're going to go into our call tracking. We'll log in. We're going to go to our trigger. Remember how we get to our trigger? We go to flows. We go to triggers. And what I would do is I would label it send email, because you don't want to mix up with your notification, because this is notifying you about leads. So you would just set up a new trigger, but we're just going to go into this one because I want to show you how I set it up already. Is send email. You can even say send email to customer. So you know that this is the trigger that sends an email to the customer. And I have this set for all activities, so whenever a call comes in, send, and then I have if send intro email, which I'm going to show you what that means. Is an outbound call, or is a type is any inbound call. And then you could also add, and what we're going to do another, oh yeah, we can do or type is any form. Go back. If the send intro is set and type is any outbound call, or type is form. And you don't have to do this one, which is if send intro is set. That's if the salesperson actually set something. You can just delete that and just have it as if type is any outbound call, or if type is a form fill. And as you can see, we put that email for the parse. We put it here. Now, how do we put it here? You have to go to your manage users and set up a user with this information. And this is the email that you would set it up with. We don't need to send ourselves that email. You would type in your title, you would say hello, and then you would go here and then hit contact name, and it would show up there. And then you would write out what you want to say to the customer. Thank you for reaching. If you have any questions, blah blah blah. And then you scroll down here, and you have your name, your information, and the most important thing, I have a disclaimer, but then I add this column here, which is very important. So you're going to type in email sent to, and then you're going to include the email of the person. So here you would just select here, and you would click this right here, email, and it would pop this right here. Or you can just copy this exact message, and you're going to have this at the bottom of yours because I'm going to show you how this works. And then of course you'll exclude activities and details here. What will happen is when a form fill comes in, or they call you, And you could also add, not only is set for outbound, inbound, you could also make this for inbound. Let's see, type. And any inbound call, you could trigger that as well. So it's up to you what you want for these types. Save that. So I would get rid of this too, and just have if type is any outbound, and then you could do inbound, and then you could do form fill for this one here. And you'll save it. And now what you'll do is you're going to call the number that's attached to this trigger. So we did all. So you're just going to call the phone number that's attached to this trigger. And so you would just call, if you go to your tracking numbers here, so you would just call this number here. It's going to fire that message. Once it fires that message, you'll go back to your Zapier, and you're going to go into your emails. Okay. And then what you'll do is you'll go here, and you're going to need to set up a template. Well, how do you set up a template? Here's the email too. What'll happen is it'll send an email, and then you need to just set up your template. And the way you set up your template is you just need to label it. So you'll label the name as name. Down here, email sent to, you're gonna label this email, because you got to match all this up with your trigger for your Zapier. And then this is the message. This is your disclaimer, if you want a disclaimer, and then your contact information. And then once you've set all this up, let's look at the template. So this is how I have it set up. I have the subject, greeting, name, message, disclaimer, email sent to, and then I labeled this email. The way you do it is you would just go here and you would just highlight it like this. So what I did was I pressed on the name with my mouse, and then I just moved it over, and then it highlighted it. And then in here I'm going to type what it is. So this is name. So I would just type in name, and then it labels it name. And then this is subject. So I would label this subject. And so forth and so on. And then it's very important that down here you label that email, because that's the data, that's the person's email you're going to be sending through your Zapier. So email sent to, actually, I would label the email that shows up here. Let me see if I can find an example of that. Yeah, here. So email sent to, and then you would just make this spot right here the email. Because what you're going to do is you're going to come here to your Zapier that we just set up. We'll scroll here. We're going to edit it. We're sending a new email. Continue. Continue. That's the email box that we sent up. Continue. And then we sent a test already. So now we can go ahead and point all the data that we need to point it to. So make sure you have the only if continued statement. This is if you want to send a file. So we're just filtering it. Once again, we want to make sure that there's an @ sign on it. And then this is who we're sending it to. So this is the output email. Remember, in call tracking, let's go back to the triggers. So we'll go down here. I just want to show you, go to flows, go to triggers. We go to send an email notification. So basically what we're doing is we're mapping this email right here. We're mapping that to this right here. So what does that mean? That means that when someone fills out a form fill or they call in and we have their email address, we want to send that email, the welcome email, to them here. So this is the parse output email. This is our subject line. And then this is the body, which all we're doing is we're just mapping the body here that comes through the parser. So the body comes through here and actually flows into here, which is the body. So after you have done your setup for Zapier with the email, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go here and you're going to want to scroll down to settings. Now, once you're in settings, we're going to go to custom fields. And once you're in custom fields, it should look like this. You're just going to simply hit this button here, which is add field. Then this is what's going to show up. You're going to type in send intro email. Okay. Once you do that, you'll check these two boxes here and you'll hit save. What you have done, oh, and then you also want to select checkbox here and save to activity. So you'll type this, send email intro email. You'll select a checkbox, save to activity, and then you'll do these check marks, and then you'll hit save. Now let me show you what it'll look like once you do it. You'll go to activities, you'll go to your calls. What'll happen is, as your sales individuals are taking calls, they'll go here to edit, and they have a button that you just created, which is called send intro email. They'll type in the customer's information in here and they'll put their email. If it's a new customer, all they have to do is turn this on like this. And that's the trigger that we have set up, which I'll show you in a minute, which it'll send an email to this customer as long as there's an email address here. And this is how you manually send an email to new customers that are calling in. So they'll just press this button here after they enter the information. And let's go back here. I'll show you how that works. Back to activities. We'll scroll to flows. We'll go to triggers. And we'll scroll down to send email to customer. So this trigger is what's connected to what we just built. And as you can see, it's labeled here. If send intro email is set and type is any outbound call, you could do inbound as well. If it's set to an inbound call, then you're going to send this message to the customer. And then you want to match all this up and hit continue and save. And that is how you send a nice email response to your customer. And you can do the same thing with text message as well. So that's the basic setup and an email to your customers. If you have any questions, drop me a comment. If you want something more detailed, I have one-on-one consultation. Just need to go to my website on my homepage. Other than that, have a great day and let's talk soon.